back into neutral. So remember, your pelvis is not super tucked, nor is it arched. So there is a sense of a flat pelvic triangle there in front of you. Please pick up the weights if you're using them. And know that when you're lying down and your back is supported, sometimes you can use heavier weights, but be really careful. Please don't drop a weight onto your lovely face. That would be tragic. So take the weights above the heart center, maybe join them together or hold them apart. That's your choice. As you inhale, exhale, backstroke arm. So my right arm is moving forward, left arm is moving back. I don't want you to land those weights or those small fists. I'd like you to keep the movement going. Eyes to the horizon. Please try not to tuck the chin and kind of lift the head and look down at the moment. Just can you let the shoulders and the arms control the movement, which we call backstroke arms. So breathing well as you transition through a few rounds of backstroke arms. Now you might need to bring the heels just a small amount closer for the next one. Roll through that pelvis imprinting, float up into your shoulder bridge, and check again just by looking towards those knees and thighs that everything is in that long diagonal. So you've got almost like this ski slope between the ribs and the knees. And then check your feet. So give the feet a tap, tap, tap. So make sure that your toe beds are connected, yeah? So literally lift the frontal toes, tap, press, lift, tap, press, lift the foot press, lift the foot press. I'm even making a stamping sound. Both arms come towards the shoulders or collarbones. Palms can face forward or knuckles can face in towards each other. Now, if you start to drop the pelvis because you've lifted the arms with the weights, be aware of that and lengthen through again without crushing the lumbar. Reach the arms towards the eyebrows. Hover, steady pelvis, and then exhale, circle, coming back to your position. You breathe in, the arms reach overhead enough without losing that pelvic stability, and exhale, circle. Inhale, upwards to sky or over, exhale, and circle around. Now please offer possibly a whole set of 4 or 6, and even when you're in that shoulder bridge, you can reverse. So when you've got the arms towards the knees, you can circle back overhead and then exhale the arms forward if you wish. And all of those arm movements can take place not in the shoulder bridge. So if you prefer to use ribcage arms with the body grounded, then just be grounded. Arms overhead, exhale, circle. Then you can inhale, circle to overhead, exhale, arms down. All right, so continue with maybe 4 more cycles of movement in shoulder bridge, or maybe continue with the body laying down. And then when you come to mat and you are finished on that one, maybe just let each thigh draw into the chest, hands onto the knees. Lovely hip circle. So knees come in towards the heart and they are together, and then separate, open and stir, and then separate, stir back. This is another very common, familiar movement to you, but being mindful and thoughtful means that you feel it today. And if necessary, if one of those hips is a little bit gluey and a little bit stuck and a little bit sluggish, place one foot down, a little to the side, and simply pay attention to that one femur bone circling inside that one hip. You can keep the hand pressing, lightly guiding, or you can even hold around the femur bone. Let the lower leg dangle and hold and guide it. Imagine this was a wooden spoon stirring through a very thick, let's say treacle or something, and you have to stir in a really small way to get going. So you have to stir like a golf ball size, and then maybe a tennis ball. And the importance of this is that if you start swirling around like crazy, you're actually going to move your pelvis instead of a true identification of movement in that femur bone, in the hip socket. So just be reminded of that. This is an isolation of movement into your hip joint, please. So continue with your double hip circles in your sort of swimming legs, your frog legs, or stay with one hip and really get that one going with the smaller, very thoughtful, intentional circles. We've got one more arm weight from here. So when you're ready, release the feet back down. Float or extend the arms towards the sky, and then open wide. Hover. Breathe. Anchor the back ribs. Pelvis is neutral, and draw back. Feet are resting on thin ice. Please do not push through the feet. Opening. Take a pause. Exhale back. And then add the legs. So let the legs open enough. I don't really want you to turn off the outside edge of the feet, come into something like a fancy yoga butterfly. Coordinate. Open thighs, open out. Pause. Now here, when you're in this open position, oftentimes your ribs will flare and you will be in that arch. So use the contraction of the abdominals as you draw back and land in your perfect position. Opening, breathe in, and remember this is a flexibility move, this is a stability move. Stability and strength. Once you've got going, you might want to go faster. For 10, squeeze, 9, squeeze. Open, squeeze through. Find the gluteals. Whole body Pilates, long and closed. It's an opening and a closure, but when we close, we're not knocking those knees together. Let it be good. Let everything be powerful and mindful. Breath is happening. Release your arms. Weights carefully down. Knees come into chest. Hug. Inhale, exhale, curl. Head down, inhale, exhale, curl. And then roll up and over. So you can roll to your left side, or you can roll like a ball and roll up and over. So your left hip is nicely cushioned or landed on your mat. Slide and lengthen your left arm away, and the left ear will rest on that arm. And if you've got a little scatter cushion here or your yoga block, please use that instead. Pull up through the waist, so bring the right hand underneath the waist, so you create a little hollow there, and then lengthen out through your top right leg. Now I have landed on my wall, so you just move into a little bit of a diagonal. Now you may want to lift your head and just look down that right leg and find that it's very well aligned. Navel in, corset is on, flex, point foot 10 times, flex, point, flex, point, flex, point. So you get this beautiful length. Every time you point, grow out of that hip. Circle, circle, circle the ankle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 1. 3, 4, 5. Now as you flex the heel and find this power strength in the leg, do engage the outer and the back length. So lengthen through the lumbar, find the outside hip, draw in, pelvis level, gluteal is on. This right arm is relaxed. It might be in front of you, it might just be resting somewhere, but try not to let this right shoulder pop. So raising the leg to a place where you feel that extra tonality and contraction, and then you're moving down, but you're not touching the earth. So going up and down. Now, once you know this movement, which you do, it's about the outer waist and the power in the leg. Bring your face to center through those arms. So not looking down and tucking that chin. So lengthening out through your crown again. So you're squeezing up, up, up. Like you've got some heavy weight here. The kneecap at the moment is facing forward. And if my head is out of alignment, it's only because I'm looking in the Zoom screen, because I'm wanting all of you to do this really well. So after 10, slide the leg forward. Now it might be that you can bring it forward so that the two knees are in alignment, and then slide it back. And you want to imagine that in front of you is a table, or all the way, so that leg is sliding through and across the table. So as it slides, it doesn't come up and over, it's not having a bumpy ride, it is literally gliding forward and gliding back. As it glides forward and back, you might want to put your hand on the pelvic floor to make sure that you are not rocking all over the place. And by the way, this lower leg may also want to flex out through the foot so you feel the power and strength happening. Okay, I'm going to let you continue, and I'd like you to practice at least 10. So we're up and down on the leg, which is the side waist, and then forward and back, which is known as front kick. Although remember, you are not kicking. And you will start to feel, if you're really intentional, the beautiful power in the leg. But remember, it's whole body. Completion of those lets you now roll onto the front body, interlace your fingers towards the top of the mat, elbows under the shoulders, lengthen out the legs, thighs are quite relaxed, but then join into strength, tops of the feet press, and lift shoulders away as you roll the shoulders down the back, finding an interlaced, soft interlace, and it is a Sphinx or Mackenzie in Pilates. I have got a cramp in my right calf muscle. I'm just easing that off through my ankle. And then curl your toes, tuck the toes, push the toe beds into the mat, lift into your forearm plank. You may want to squeeze the legs together, hug up through the belly muscles. You may prefer to bring a broader base and press out through those mat-wide legs. And however you have found that forearm plank, could you please address the lowness of it? It is a forearm elbow plank. My hair is in the way. It's also known as low plank. There's a clue there, isn't there, in its title. So we have feet that are hip wide, legs joined together. That means ankles, knees, spiraling internal rotation. If your bum lifts and you draw back a little bit, that's fine, as long as you know you're doing that. And then you reset your position. Importantly, you can breathe. And then you bring the knees in comfortably. Let yourself stretch out, wiggle, wiggle, and lengthen. So maybe a long hold, or maybe 2 or 3 repetitions. So you really harness your strength this morning. Elbow plank or low plank, so good for sort of juicy muscles. And also it increases your heart rate, so it's great for cardiovascular energy as well. You know, we don't have to jump around the mat and be in an aerobics class to increase the heart rate. So we're coming to the second side of the side line. So respectfully line up, right hip on the folded area. I'm going a little bit diagonal, of course, lengthen out through your right arm, pull up through the right waist, extend your leg, stacking your hips, and ready to move up, up, up. Now you're not going up so high that you rock backwards. It is a controlled energy. You're just keeping it. I know that you're moving up and down, but you're not really going up and then all the way down. It is a small, controlled movement, and you want to lengthen the heel away. So we're going to pulse up for 10, pulse up, lengthen up, up, down, up, down. So get a good rhythm going for 10. Then point, flex, point, flex, point, flex. No, I haven't forgotten. Just doing it in a different order. Circle the ankle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you are still working through the up, down, don't worry. Just remember that you're contracting around the thigh, the kneecap faces forward, and it is 10 of these, maybe 12, followed by a point, flex, and then a circle, circle, and then lengthen out through that hip, get some long side waists. You're going to slide forward so the knees are in alignment and slide it back. Now, if your knee is tucked further, you'll be sliding and the range of motion will be your own. So important that you feel you're gliding along a table. Sliding, gliding. Now, some practitioners like to glide back even further. And if you're doing that, that's okay. But remember, that's going to create a little arch in your lumbar. For most of us, that will create that arch. So you want to be clear about the impact of a hip extension. So essentially, you're really on this one moving forward, and as you lengthen back, bring yourself to pelvic neutral, spine neutral, rather than arch back. But you know, now and again, it's sometimes good to come out of range in order to come back into it. So please enjoy those side-lying Pilates moves. And then when you're happy with that and you're satisfied with the amount, slide over and into your all fours. Maybe make a fist underneath the shoulders. Align the knees underneath your hips. Breathe in and table back. And then exhale, rounding. So scooping that tail under, rounding the shoulders towards the sky, getting a lot of space in the spinal column, and then lengthening out. And yes, commonly we do, of course, let the head rest down. So you do create that folded neck. You have the neck flexion, I should say, not the folded neck. But you can moderate that as necessary. You can arc here. And then we're going to bring the knees together and take the feet apart. So notice the internal spiraling of the femur bones. And again, rounding, scooping through. So your toes and feet are mat wide if possible. Your femur bones are joined together. It's a lovely position. And even if you send your bum back a little bit, or come up onto the fingertips, scoop and feel this. And then unravel, curl your toes, lift your knees, so back into your all fours, table back, lift the knees, which is short plank. Make sure you're not surging over those wrists. So you might step the palms a little further forward. Lift the knees, but not lifting the bum, so it's not on a half dog, half plank. So level off that table. Squeeze through the legs. You might even bring the feet together. Hug through those inner knees. Hold steady. Challenge. Can you hold steady for 30 seconds? You've already probably found 10 seconds here. I know you can do it. And if you're not doing 30 seconds today, that's fine. Just know that there is a gradual invitation to build up that weight load, that weight bearing strength. Swaying forward and back is another option. Know that you can bring your knees down and come into the regular sway. But if you can build up, you'll be in your short plank or even your long leg plank for the swaying. And then when you've completed, reach the tailbone high for down dog, then into pike. So walking feet together, walking hands towards the tiptoes, the heels are lifted, lots of length and strength through the muscles. Land your feet, spread out the toes. Ragdoll, scoop the belly. Pilates, roll up to stand. Ease out those shoulders. Open out the palms. Offer yourself a mindful closing breath. Breathe in, fullness of breath, up. Breathe out, press down. Exhale, exhale, exhale.